In this video, we're going to talk about stipulation for autrui under the Philippine civil law. So in the case of Limitless Potentials Incorporated versus Kilala, the court laid down the requisites of a stipulation for autrui, namely, first, there is a stipulation in favor of a third person. Second, the stipulation is a part, not the whole, of the contract. Third, the contracting parties clearly and deliberately conferred a favor to the third person, and the favor is not an incidental benefit. Fourth, the favor is unconditional and uncompensated. Fifth, the third person communicated his or her acceptance of the favor before its revocation. And sixth, the contracting parties do not represent or not authorized by the third party. So let's discuss one by one. So the first requisite states there is a stipulation in favor of a third person. This means the contract includes a provision that grants a benefit directly to someone who is not a party to the contract. In other words, the benefit is intended for a third person who is not involved in the agreement between the original contracting parties. Second, the stipulation is a part, not the whole, of the contract. This means the stipulation for the third person is included as a provision within a larger contract. It is not the entirety of the contract, but rather one aspect of it. The main contract serves other purposes and includes other obligations and terms beyond the stipulation for autrui. Third, the contracting parties clearly and deliberately conferred a favor to the third person, and the favor is not an incidental benefit. This means that the benefit to the third party is intentional and explicit. It is not a secondary or incidental advantage, but is a deliberate part of the contractual arrangement. The parties to the contract specifically intended to confer this benefit on the third person. Fourth, the favor is unconditional and uncompensated. This means that the benefit granted to the third person does not require any payment or compensation from the third person. It is given freely without any conditions or reciprocal obligations imposed on the third party. Fifth, the third person communicated his or her acceptance of the favor before its revocation. So for the stipulation to be enforceable, the third person must accept the benefit explicitly before the stipulation can be revoked. This means that the third person must be aware of and agree to the benefit before it can be withdrawn or modified. And finally, the contracting parties do not represent or are not authorized by the third party. This means that the parties to the contract must act on their own behalf and not as representatives or agents of the third person. They must not be acting with authority given by the third person to make decisions or agreements on their behalf. Now let's apply these requisites to practical scenarios. So first, example of a valid stipulation for autrui. So in a contract between two parties, A and B, A agrees to pay a certain sum of money to a third person, C, as a benefit under the contract. Now, A and B must intend for C to receive this benefit, and C must accept it explicitly before A can withdraw the offer. So the stipulation for C's benefit is a part of the contract, not the whole contract, just a part of it, and it does not require C to compensate A or B for receiving the benefit. Another important application is the importance of acceptance. If C does not accept the benefit, or if the benefit is not communicated, the stipulation may not be enforceable. Acceptance is crucial because it solidifies the third party's right, in this case C, to enforce the stipulation. And finally, no agency or representation. So in this example, A and B must not act on behalf of C. The stipulation must reflect their own agreement and intention, and C is simply to benefit directly. So in conclusion, the requisites for a stipulation for autrui ensure that benefits granted to third parties are intentional, clear, and enforceable. These requirements safeguard the rights of the third party and clarify the intentions and obligations of the contracting parties. All right. If you find this video substantial and useful, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you very much.